Because at the end of the day, technology may have changed how we interact, but it has not taken away our ability to move. This isn't about rejecting technology. Well, actually, it kind of is. It's about freeing your mind and knowing when to put the phone down and just experience life. Written by Anelo Pontecorvo. Part 1. The Dance of Connection. There was a time when the rhythm of a song could bring two strangers together. A glance across the dance floor, a step forward, a beat shared. Connection was born through movement. The act of dancing wasn't just about entertainment. It was a primal, instinctual language, a way for people to express themselves and, more importantly, to attract one another. For centuries, dance has been woven into the fabric of human mating rituals. From the courtly dances of European aristocrats to the electrifying pulse of New York's disco scene in the 70s, movement was the ultimate social lubricant, a way to bridge the gap between strangers, lovers, and entire communities. It was more than a pastime, it was a necessity. But something happened. Somewhere along the way we interacted changed. The spaces that once buzzed with energy and expression are now eerily different. If you've been to a nightclub, music festival, or concert in recent years, you may have noticed it. People are not moving like they used to. The infectious, uninhibited joy of dance has been replaced by a sea of glowing screens, stiff postures, and passive swaying. This shift didn't happen overnight, and it wasn't random. The turn of the millennium set off a chain reaction of technological advancements that would reshape human connection forever. Before the internet, smartphones, and social media, music was experienced in real time. You had it to be present. If you wanted to hear a new song, you listened to the radio or went to a record store. If you wanted to see an artist perform, you bought a ticket and showed up. The experience was tangible, communal, and unrepeatable. The late 90s and early 2000s were a golden era for club culture. Dance music was at its peak, and clubs were temples of movement. Whether it was deep house in the underground scenes of Chicago and Berlin, techno in Detroit, or the pulsing trance of Ibiza's superclubs, people gathered to experience music not just with their ears, but with their bodies. But then came YouTube. In 2005, the launch of YouTube revolutionized content consumption. Suddenly, anyone, anywhere, could access an infinite library of performances, music videos, and live DJ sets with just a few clicks. What was once a localized, in-person experience became a global, on-demand phenomenon. No longer did you need to go to the club to witness an electrifying DJ set. You could watch it from the comfort of your own home. At first, this seemed like a good thing. The internet democratized music and made it more accessible than ever. Underground artists could reach global audiences. Dance culture, once confined to specific regions, became borderless. But as YouTube's influence grew, something subtle yet profound began to happen. People started watching more and doing less. Instead of going out to a club to experience a set, they could simply stream it. Instead of dancing at festivals, they recorded them. Instead of being participants in music culture, they became spectators. Just as YouTube was reshaping music consumption, another technological force was brewing: the smartphone. In 2007, Apple released the first iPhone, an innovation that would forever change how we engage with the world. At first, it was a tool for communication, an extension of the internet in our pockets. But as cameras improved and social media apps took off, our focus began to shift. Suddenly, the act of being present became secondary to the act of capturing. By the early 2010s, major festivals like Tomorrowland, Ultra Music Festival, and Coachella started seeing a change. The once dynamic crowds were now static, their faces illuminated by screens as they filmed performances instead of experiencing them. DJs and performers began noticing too. People were no longer fully immersed in the music. They were recording, posting, and waiting for likes instead of surrendering to the rhythm. With platforms like Instagram, 2010, Snapchat, 2011, and later TikTok, 2016, the dance floor transformed into a content factory. Music festivals became less about dancing and more about curating the perfect highlight reel. What once required full engagement, dancing, interacting, making eye contact, was now being replaced by emojis, captions, and 10-second clips. The very thing that made nightlife electric, the unpredictable immersive magic of movement, was fading. This wasn't just about music. The decline of dance as a social practice had deeper implications. For centuries, dance was an essential part of courtship. Across cultures, movement played a vital role in attraction, signaling confidence, charisma, and emotional expression. From the sensual sway of salsa to the effortless charm of ballroom, dance was how people found each other. But as video technology took over, the ritual dissolved. Younger generations growing up digitally started experiencing interactions through screens, not face-to-face. The rise in texting dating apps and social media meant people no longer learned body language or real-world chemistry cues. Studies show Gen Z faces lower in-person interaction and higher loneliness rates than prior generations. Male virginity rates increased. Anxiety around real-world interaction rose. Social cue struggles deepened via screen mediation. Could dance's death link crises like loneliness, disconnection? The next chapter will explore what happened when live streaming took center stage and why music culture shifted from participation to passive consumption. Part 2. The Age of Streaming. Watching, not doing. The transition from active participation to passive consumption didn't happen overnight. It was a slow, subtle shift, one that began with a promise of greater access but led to unintended consequences. At first, digital media seemed to enhance music culture. Live streaming services brought exclusive DJ sets to anyone with an internet connection. Social media platforms allowed fans to engage with artists like never before. Clubs and festivals, once restricted to those who could afford tickets, were now accessible from anywhere in the world. But with this newfound accessibility came an unexpected side effect. People stopped showing up. What once required presence, dancing, meeting people, feeling the energy of a crowd, became a spectator sport. The very essence of nightlife was no longer about movement and connection. It became about watching, recording, and performing for an audience that wasn't even there. And the more we watched, the less we participated. One of the most significant catalysts in this shift was the rise of live-streamed DJ sets. In 2010, Boiler Room, a London-based platform, began broadcasting underground electronic music performances to the world. At first, it was a niche project, intimate, exclusive, and deeply rooted in club culture. DJs played in small, sweaty rooms while a select crowd danced around them. The early streams had an authentic, almost voyeuristic quality, giving viewers a raw look into underground dance culture. But as Boiler Room grew, something changed. The audience inside the room became less about experiencing the music and more about being seen on camera. The natural, uninhibited movement of early clubgoers was replaced by stiff, calculated posturing. People were no longer dancing for themselves, they were performing for the internet. This shift wasn't unique to Boiler Room. It was happening everywhere. By the mid-2010s, brands like Mixmag Lab, Circle, and Beatport Live had joined the trend, turning DJ sets into global broadcasts. Nightlife itself was being transformed into a digital product, packaged, branded, and optimized for engagement. And as streaming technology advanced, so did the audience's role. No longer were people attending these events just to dance. They were there to be filmed, to be noticed, to curate their own highlight reel. While live streaming reshaped club spaces, social media changed how people engaged with nightlife altogether. Instagram, 2010, turned music festivals into content factories. It was no longer enough to go to an event and enjoy it. You had to prove you were there. Every moment needed to be documented, every experience polished for an audience. Then came TikTok, 2016, a platform built on short, hyper-visual clips designed for mass virality. Suddenly, music festivals and club nights weren't just about personal enjoyment. They were opportunities for content creation. The dance floor became a stage, and every participant was both a performer and a cameraman. This had a direct impact on behavior. People weren't dancing for the sake of dancing anymore. They were waiting for the right moment to record. Movements became smaller and more self-conscious. Hands were occupied holding phones instead of engaging with the music. The feedback loop of likes and shares became more important than the actual experience itself. And the biggest irony? As people became more focused on proving they were having fun, they were having less fun. At its core, dancing is about human connection. It's a form of nonverbal communication, an ancient, instinctual ritual that helps build bonds between people. When you move with someone to music, you create an unspoken dialogue, a shared experience that is impossible to replicate through a screen. But when dancing became secondary to filming, something critical was lost. Studies show that real-world social interactions trigger dopamine and oxytocin, chemicals responsible for feelings of pleasure, trust, and bonding. Physical movement itself reduces stress, anxiety, and depression. On the other hand, excessive screen time has been linked to higher rates of loneliness, social anxiety, and dissatisfaction. People who engage with nightlife through social media rather than real life often feel less connected, not more. For younger generations, this shift is particularly significant. Gen Z is experiencing lower levels of face-to-face interaction than any previous generation. Anxiety around in-person socializing is at an all-time high. Male virginity rates are increasing, and traditional courtship behaviors are fading. A growing percentage of young people struggle with real-world social cues because so much of their experience is mediated through screens. The dance floor, once the heart of human connection, still exists. The music hasn't stopped. The opportunities to engage, to move, to experience life without the filter of a screen are still there. The real question is, will they choose to participate? As we moved from dancing to watching, from participation to observation, the fundamental rituals of human connection began to shift. Studies show that Gen Z and millennials are experiencing higher levels of loneliness than previous generations. The decline of in-person social interaction coincides with the rise of digital substitutes. Texting instead of talking, swiping instead of flirting, scrolling instead of screwing. If the new video tech culture has changed the way we interact, what does that mean for relationships, sexual attraction, and human connection moving forward? In the final chapter, we explore whether there's a way back or if our new reality is fucked. Part 3. The future of connection. Can we reclaim movement? For centuries, dance was a human necessity, a ritual that bridged cultures, built relationships, and fueled attraction. It was how people connected without words, how communities bonded, and how romance often began. But today, the ritual has been replaced by a screen. We watch more than we do. We document more than we experience. And yet, beneath all the layers of technology, the desire to move, to connect, and to feel present has never gone away. The real question is, can we reclaim it? Although digital culture has reshaped social interactions, an underground resistance has been growing. Across the world, a new movement is emerging, one that encourages people to put their phones away and rediscover the power of presence. 1. Silent discos, no phone parties, and secret raves. Events like phone-free festivals and underground dance gatherings are making a comeback. These are spaces where phone usage is restricted, forcing attendees to experience the moment without distraction. Some clubs even go as far as banning phone recordings entirely, bringing back the raw energy that dance floors used to have. 2. Conscious clubbing, raving without the screens or substances. A new wave of conscious clubbing is rising, where people engage in sober, intentional dance experiences. These events prioritize movement, energy, and connection over artificial stimulation. They emphasize feeling the music instead of filming it, creating a space where movement once again becomes a form of human expression. 3. Tech detox retreats, escape from the digital overload. The realization that we are too plugged in has led to tech-free retreats where people go completely offline. No social media, no video recordings, no notifications. These experiences retrain the brain to be present, forcing individuals to interact, engage, and move without the crutch of a screen. While these movements are still niche, their growing popularity signals a deeper longing, a need to return to something real. The impact of technology on dance culture hasn't gone unnoticed by the industry itself. Major artists, DJs, and festivals are now rethinking how to bring back real-world connection in an era of digital overstimulation. 1. Exclusive in-person experiences. Some artists are now opting for smaller, intimate, no-phone performances, creating a space where the focus is purely on the music and human connection. 2. Wellness apps and self-healing trends. A noticeable increase in downloads from app stores shows surges in wellness and self-healing categories. Services like mindfulness apps, meditation guides, and binaural beats playlists help users reconnect with themselves and recharge their natural ability to connect with others. 3. Breakdancing's Olympic debut and hip-hop's cultural renaissance. Breakdancing made its debut as a competitive sport at the 2024 Paris Olympic Games, a global nod to dance as an art form deeply rooted in cultural expression. Meanwhile, New York's Bronx celebrated hip-hop's 50th anniversary in 2023 with tributes to its creators and foundations, reminding us that rhythm and movement remain essential elements of life. If dance was simply about entertainment, its decline might not be so significant. But science suggests that movement plays a critical role in human psychology, social bonding, and overall well-being. Mental health benefits. Dancing reduces anxiety and depression by triggering dopamine and endorphin release, neurochemicals associated with happiness and stress relief. Strengthening social bonds. Physical movement strengthens social bonds by making individuals feel closer to one another through eye contact, synchronized movement, and shared experiences. Building trust and attraction. Shared physical activities like dancing create trust and attraction, elements that have been slowly eroding in digital interactions. The takeaway? Reclaiming dance isn't just about fun, it's about healing a deeper social disconnection. The good news? Nothing is stopping us from reclaiming real-world movement. The music is still playing, the dance floors still exist, the spaces for connection are still there. All we have to do is put the phone away, step into the moment, and start moving again. Because at the end of the day, technology may have changed how we interact, but it has not taken away our ability to move. This isn't about rejecting technology. Well, actually, it kind of is. It's about freeing your mind and knowing when to put the phone down and just experience life. So the next time you're in the club, or even just listening to music at home, try something different. Let loose and relearn how to have fun. And maybe, just maybe, we can bring back what's been missing. Written by Anelo Pontecorvo,